Morning, everybody. I trust you can hear me well. So welcome to the BECBC meeting this week here. And I trust you and your families are all keeping well. But I guess a lot of our businesses are now sort of returning to some sort of normality, and that's causing a few challenges for time, etc. But I'll keep the intro brief this morning because what I don't want to do is eat into the network session later on in the meeting, because I know a lot of you get a lot of value out of that. However, we've got two great talks this morning. We've got David Pickles and Peter Hanley of Capula, who are at the frontier of changing the energy world, so I'm looking forward to seeing their presentation. And we've also got Elsa Mason from DMA Safety Management. And Elsa's going to share with us the harnessing the positives and finding new ways of working, which I guess is something we've all been striving to do over these last few months. That'll be followed by the 3x3 sessions. And I'm sure Diane's on here with a stopwatch and an egg timer, so she'll be on the button with them. And then obviously we'll hand over to Andrew and we'll run the sort of networking session towards the end. But this meeting, it's great everybody can be here. And I see we've got a guest today as well, Joe Price. So Joe, welcome. You look as though you're sitting in a field, so that's fantastic. And enjoy today's session. So I'll hand you back to Andrew.
Great, thank you, Peter. So we are going to start on something which is actually close to my own heart. It's the subject digital transformation, but we are joined today by Peter Hanley and Dave Pickles of Capula, and they are going to talk a little bit more about that. So I look forward to hearing from you both. So are you both able to unmute yourselves and share your screen?
We are. Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah, morning all.
I've just noticed that if I sit here, I magically have two light bulbs popping out the top of my head.
That is correct.
I'm having a double light bulb moment. Okay. Good morning all. Again, I hope you are all keeping well, and thanks for joining today's session. A big thank you to the business cluster for allowing us to take today's main presentation slot. We're absolutely delighted to be taking part, and I hope you all find it a useful session. So I'm going to co-present this session along with our Managing Director, Dave Pickles. I'm the Business Development Manager here at Capula. I manage our nuclear account, which include the NDA estate and the support we provide to Sellafield. For those that don't know Capula, don't worry about it. I didn't know much about them either before joining them about a year ago. This session's really to inform you more about the company and the way that we're looking forward into the future. Like the presentation says, digital transformation, but actually making that happen. So let me just tell you a little bit about the company. So last year, Capula celebrated its 50th birthday. We're the UK's largest independent control systems integrator. We operate across a range of industry sectors, including the whole of civil nuclear, that's civil nuclear new build, nuclear generation, fuel fabrication, and nuclear cleanup. The defence industry, conventional energy and renewables, power transmission and distribution, oil and gas, water, process industries, new technologies. For example, we support ITER in France, we support the European Spallatial Source Neutron Beam Reactor in Sweden. And more recently, we've just taken up a new project for government, working for the Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy. We became part of the EDF group in 2017. This provides us with really strong parentage, but at the same time, we have our own independence and we can operate as a smaller, more agile organisation. We're a dedicated team of about 300 people and growing. We're based across 5 strategic locations in the UK, and we have a regional office in Cumbria in the Innovation Centre in Westlake Science Park. Our nuclear pedigree spans back to 1974. We took our first BNFL order for a project at Doomray, and then we took our first Sellafield order in 1978. So since that time, our team have been delivering over 75% of the control systems across Sellafield site and continue to provide systems and support to this day. So one of the reasons I joined Capula was around the increasing market need for digital technology. We understand that the nuclear industry especially is under a lot of challenge and pressure to become more cost effective from a power consumer perspective, but also from the taxpayer's burden managing the legacy that we have created today. The nuclear sector deal sets out a clear cost reduction target, and one of those contributing factors to achieving those targets will be through digital innovation, I'm sure. So what we're doing, we're reshaping the business, taking 5 decades of traditional process control experience and using that as a real solid foundation for how we apply new digital solutions moving forwards. Being part of the EDF group of energy companies, so at the bottom of the screen you'll see there quite a few logos. These are the companies that we're a part of as a group under EDF, all energy companies. And collectively, we now offer even more value through that strong collaboration and those partnerships. So that's a little bit of a snapshot about Capula, who we are. I'm going to hand over to Dave, and Dave's going to tell you a little bit more about what we do and how we add value.
Okay, Peter. Morning, everybody. I thought I'd just give you a little bit. I'm not going to go through all this, so but please don't despair. Just really to focus on the 3 elements of what Capula are about. Obviously, our traditional businesses around control systems, explained there by Peter, is in the top right. And then we support our clients long term with service support contracts and the likes. And then on the left-hand side, we have our software teams, and I'm going to talk and focus a little bit more on that today. That's like our 3rd part of our business, where we're really trying to leave additional value for our clients and organisations that want to take advantage of the new data revolution. So we're putting some emphasis on that and what it really means. And I'm conscious that we've got a broad spectrum of people on the call, but it's really around building or connecting together the operational world of automation and manufacturing and processing, and actually the IT world in a more cohesive way. So that's I'm going to focus a little bit more on that. But you can see some of the expertise that we've got. And again, we can harp lyrical on that, but we're not going to today. So if you move on to the next slide, Peter, I think what we're seeing in the market, I thought we'd give you a bit of sort of insight into what we're seeing as a long-standing system integrator in the market of energy and nuclear, is that there's a lot of talk about the data revolution, Industry 4.0, digital transformation, whatever you wish to call it. And we're seeing quite a lot of organisations are quite confused about the options and products and how they go about transforming the business. And in actual fact, most organisations have already got a solid foundation for this transformation. If you look at the bottom 2 layers here, generally speaking, if it's an existing asset or you're building an asset, you're going to already have clear view on sensors, instrumentation, control and monitoring. And really it's about then building on top of that with visualization, analytics. And this is where we feel there's a real crossover between information technology and operational technology. And what we're trying to support organizations with is actually that transformation, making it simple and easy to understand and working through it so they can take advantage of that data and really mine it in an efficient way, such that they get business value. I'm not going to go through all of those, but you can see lots of our clients, and it's massively variant from whether we're talking about somebody looking at the energy consumption in a facility, or whether it's somebody looking at how do we reduce the number of trips and stop reduce productivity. There's a financial impact, so how do they take advantage of that? So we feel that there's already a real solid base of integration, if you like, and it's really about building on top of that, and we're sort of positioning ourselves to help in that regard. So if you go on to the next slide, Peter, what we've developed is a kind of framework and a platform, if you like, for giving you that analytic and that visualization. So we call this Opus. It's just a branding exercise, but it's really an open platform which enables us then to take information not only from the plant data from levels 1 and 2, but also from other aspects and other data sources. So we can basically, analyze and collaborate data and make better business decisions. And that linked with the industrial Internet of Things, which is about connectivity, really, which can enhance that. So it gives us a framework, if you like, to look at web-based it's agnostic in terms of technology. So, you know, we can connect to most equipment, whether that's IT equipment or operational technology equipment. And you can do this remotely. You can build apps and you can visualize the data. If you're a finance guy in one format, if you're a technician or a technical guy in another format. And that's the power of this new environment that we're working with. And I think that linked with our market knowledge, I think is the big differentiator with digital. Lots of people have got technology, but not many people have got the knowledge. I think when you add those two things together, you can really, you can drive a lot of power out in terms of value. Conscious of we're not going to go into a real technical talk, but I've got one more slide just to finish on, and before we go back to a summary. But I think in terms of, it's a bit busy, but if you look at, if I talked about those levels 1, 2, and 3, the base level there, traditional technologies on the left, is about the kind of equipment that we've got in buildings and in factories and in process plant and the likes. And then at the top level, we've got this platform I've just been talking about, which kind of is around data and visualization and analyzing data. And there's some of the benefits you can drive out of that around asset performance, and availability, energy, customer information, maintenance information. We've got many of our clients sort of saying to us, how can we be a bit more proactive with and predictive about if we're going to get a trip on a nuclear power plant, for example. It costs millions per day when these things are closed down. If they can take that from 5 shutdowns to 2 shutdowns and be more intelligent and be prepared for it and head it off, then that's the kind of thing that organisations are looking to do. So we're working on that kind of technology, if you like. And in many areas, like energy, for example, and energy consumption, and how we can optimise that, i.e. reduce it, we're seeing that's quite common. So we've been able to produce simple and repeatable solutions, which are cost effective and give the functionality that a client would need. So I think that's where we're going. And in the middle of all this is this definition everyone talks about is cloud. And what is the cloud, and how, what's the benefit of doing that? Well, there's 2 elements of this, and certainly in nuclear we're seeing that it's more, you want to take the advantage of cloud, which is about data storage and renting data. You can do that locally on your plant, or you can do it in the virtual world, outside the organisation, depending on your thought processes and your security policies. Will drive that. But one thing we're really the glue to all of this is the cyber and the security element of it, and making sure that any systems that are built are certified and safe from cyber attack, particularly when you're talking about nuclear assets and power generation assets. And then on the other hand, we need to understand the marketplace, and I think that's the real catalyst, if you like. And as I mentioned there, the information technology and operational technology connection, that's pretty much it in a nutshell, if you like, in terms of the overall process. And it isn't complicated, it's just 2 different worlds. And I think taking the industry knowledge and bolting them together can really drive value for organisations. So I think that's certainly where we wanted to drive, from a nuclear and an energy point of view. We're starting to see the market and clients really wanting to take advantage of this. So yeah, I think that's pretty much where we are in terms of the digital, and I think that's the big differentiator that we want to sort of, if you like, be evangelistic about into the market, is that it isn't complicated. It's about just adding all these elements together and being logic. But most organisations have got a base level of understanding with regards to that. So I think that, I don't want to go into a massive amount of technical detail, but I think one of the things that say, we just want to give a bit of insight. This is a lot of talk about this in the market, and there is a lot of value in it. And some of the ways that we're helping to tease that out is that some companies, without making any commitment, we can support on consultancy, we can support with proving a concept works by doing some of the analysis and proving that it works on a small scale. So a little tiny pilot, if you like, that's cost effective, and you can prove the value and the return on investment. And I think that's really important factor. And then we can support the overall change in terms of either implementation or advisory. So, and I think it's going to help in terms of supporting productivity in the UK. And I think it's an absolutely important factor that we try and promote and push this. So that's, I think, pretty much where we are. I mean, in terms of our timing. I think, Peter, if you want to pass over to you now to just to finalise.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Yeah, so just quickly then to summarise, I just wanted to share a couple of takeaway messages. So as a company, we're rapidly growing in size, but we're rapidly growing in capability as well to meet, the business critical needs of digital technology. It's fair to say that industry is lagging behind the technology, and it's companies like ours where we need to work even harder to help it catch up. We can increase the value of aging infrastructure through sweating the assets and retrofitting digital solutions. So it's not too late to start thinking about doing that. But I think more importantly, we need to prevent retrofitting digital solutions into new assets that we're currently designing or we've got to design in the future by designing in this capability from the very, very outset. So that's what we need to do. I think we need to work together more with this in mind, be involved at the right time. And for us, that is right at the beginning of the projects. And, driving in realistic and achievable solutions that are available today. And I think if we do that, we can really start making this digital transformation happen moving forwards. So that basically is it in a nutshell. Hopefully that gives you a flavour of the company, Capula. We're moving from that traditional system integration into a wider capability offering. And we want to be seen as that moving forward, especially with 20 years of PPP programs going forward and 20 CapEx projects moving forwards. And a site that's still going to be around in 100 years' time, that assets do need to be looked after and cared for. And, it's more of this type of technology will give us that longevity. So if anyone's interested in hearing more about what the company do and the wider sort of industries that we cover, you can visit our website. We've got a website linked to that, which we can share with you. But if anyone does want to get in touch and explore opportunities around what we've just been talking about even further, then get in touch. My contact details are on there, and we'd love to sort of take any sort of opportunities and explore these things moving forwards. So that's us, Andrew, in a nutshell. Peter, happy to take any questions. We've got 3.5 minutes left, so I thought that was pretty good timing.
Thank you both. There aren't actually any questions in the chat, but given that this is something I know a little bit about myself, I was having an interesting conversation with somebody about the phrase digital transformation and whether that sometimes, I mean, it's a phrase I use, so I'm certainly not sort of taking aim at you guys for using it. It's widely used in the industry, of course, or several industries. But the idea of transformation can in itself confuse people. And actually, the example that somebody gave to me was, if you look at a caterpillar and a butterfly, that's a transformation, and one is barely recognizable from the other. And actually what digital transformation projects want to focus on is improving digital efficiencies and looking where cost savings and more efficiencies can be introduced in the business. I don't know if you have a particular view on that.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And I think that is the confusion. Is it a transformation, or is it just actually building on what you've already got and actually making it better? And I think, and that's why we kind of sort of making it happen or making it real for people, the data revolution, because that's what it's about, isn't it? It's about the fact that now memory, storage, information, connectivity, visualization, all this technology has moved on in a step change. And I think that's what it's about, transforming the way we do things in the business more than the actual stuff itself, if that makes sense. So I think what we're trying to do is we're trying to focus more on the proposition, the piece that you just mentioned there, which is You know, how do we improve asset performance? You know, and our propositions are around that, and the insights that we support our clients with. We don't go and talk about digital per se. We talk about how do we improve their asset performance. You know, and some of the examples we've got working with our parent company on EDF is about how do we reduce trips on plant, and actually understanding they've got lots of information, but how do they use it more intelligently, and then how do we build on, analyze that information, and then improve the performance of that aging asset. That's the kind of value they're looking for, and it's actually making sure. I think the confusing bit comes in. There's so many technologies out there, but the prime driver in all of this for me is knowledge. You know, without the knowledge, the technology is, you know, it's just not useless, but it's not as powerful. So you're right, it's a bit misleading, and maybe it is that definition that confuses people.
Thank you. Yeah, I have actually seen there is a question from Peter Fleming. So Peter, I'll come to you. Sorry, I missed that in the chat. I'm down to working on a single screen today, so I normally have a bit more desk space to move things around. But Peter, I'll come across to you. You can put your question across to them.
Yeah, it was just a general question, and you did answer it, to be fair, going through the presentation. But we start to see, due to the current economic environment and sort of working practices, more businesses, you know, keenly engaging in exploring what the options are for digital transformation, particularly about productivity. And have you got an example? I mean, you just mentioned the one there, but if you just got a specific example, that'd be great.
Yeah, what since the lockdown, did you say?
Yeah,
or
since the lockdown, really, just accelerating the conversations and the embracing of technology.
Yeah, I think I'm hoping so, put it that way. But certainly we've kind of had some thought processes along the lines of, you know, there's a massive issue around supply chain and actually supporting manufacturing. And I think we've all been impacted by that one way or another. You know, I think someone was talking to me the other day, they couldn't get a bag of plaster. I know that's a localized issue, but, you know, there's, in terms of production and productivity in the UK, maybe not too much in nuclear and the power generators, but certainly in other areas, possibly there's got to be some drive for productivity improvements and using the technology to sort of tease those out, because become too reliant on bringing stuff from China, for example, when maybe we can produce it here in the UK. And if we are going to do that, we need to be cost effective. And if we need to be cost effective, we need to be automated, and we need to be good at what we do and use the technology. So I think there will be an impact in which sector, probably to a greater or lesser extent. I'm not quite sure, but certainly in manufacturing, I would see that hopefully driving investment.
Yeah, and I think digital transformation, correct me if I'm wrong, it's in every sector. It can have a positive effect in every sector. Yeah. So thanks for that.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to Elsa Mason next, and she is going to give us a presentation and share some slides. So Elsa, I will hand over across to you.
Good morning. So I'm Elsa Mason from DMA Safety Management, and I wanted to take a few minutes this morning just to share some thoughts with you on the work that we're doing with across different businesses to help them move forward in the current situation. So if we could take a few minutes together just to reflect on our experiences of this year so far, and as we look back, look around and look forward together. So the first thing I wanted to mention was about looking back and learning. Effectively conducting a learning from experience moment where we look at what went well, what didn't go well, but not just commercially, looking at it across the piece. So from the reduced emissions that we've seen, the reduced driving risk, the reduced travel cost and time, the new ways of working that we've proved that would have taken us months or years for clients to accept, or we would have been afraid of doing them in case we lost our competitive edge. We've done some amazing learning and made some fantastic progress towards a net carbon neutral that is also reducing our deaths from pollution. those of you who heard Charlotte Penn speaking a few weeks ago, I think she put up the figures of 32,000 deaths a year coming just from pollution. So what we've done over this time will have helped that massively. But it's also got that opportunity to identify things and key elements that for our business work better face to face. And think about, how was the customer experience during this time? Have you been able to fulfill customer needs and contractual obligations? And what technology have you embraced? And what technology have you found you're still lacking? And what eureka moments have you had along the way? Who had those ideas? And what other eureka possibilities are there that we haven't looked at yet? So that whole learning from experience, we do it quite naturally after an accident, or we would do it at the end of a project, and now's a really good time to do that across our businesses. And having done that, we can then take some time to look around and notice. Firstly, how are you doing? And I mean, how are you really doing? Increasingly, we're seeing people who are jaded and fatigued and needing some kind of break. It's been a really intense period. Whatever our experience has been in this time, it has been magnified and intensified. So if that's you or your team, then go and get a break sorted, however short. Get away and do something else, because we're in this for the long haul, and we need to be thinking fit your own safety mask first, because we can't be helping other people in our business if we're not fit and well ourselves. And that also helps people to come back more refreshed and therefore more productive. And that also links into the leadership style when we reflect about how we have been as leaders in this time. Have we led by example? Do you actually want people to be doing the things that you're doing, or is it what you do because that's your role and therefore that's what you have to do, but you wouldn't want other people doing it? And also, as we look around, what information are you getting from your employee assistance programs? So these are the things we've got in place. Have perhaps got online counselling, helplines to ring, those kind of things. Are you getting your statistics back from those? Do you know what your key pressure points are for your individual profile of staff? This is not people in specifics. This is the anonymised data as to where your pressure points are. And if you don't have employee assistance programs, get your management team together and get them talking to one another about what they're seeing in their teams and where they're seeing those struggles. And those are the things inside and outside of work. Where's the extra support needed that's for making people thrive, and who's in danger of being left behind? And then kind of moving on to the markets that we're working in. What's the status of your current markets? Are they steady? Are they growing? Are you looking at and thinking, we haven't got a market, or our market's going to be significantly impacted by this? Talk to your customers and do some benchmarking against relevant businesses and industries. Look at your trade pages, see what's going on, and see what, as we come out of, as we move into this recession and then at some indeterminate point in the future move back out of it, what are we going to need to be doing? Are our strategies for supporting a shrinking business or a sustaining business or a growing business? And that will affect the things that we do in the next stages. So build that picture of your current landscape. And then we can look forward and plan. So what's your strategy? Not just for the next couple of weeks or the next up to the end of the year, but I'm thinking here the next 6 months, the next 12 months, the next 2 years. There are going to be elements of this that stay with us on the health side of it for the next couple of years. But also there's going to be parts of our business practices changing that stay with us potentially forever if they're benefits. And a real opportunity to build on those things that have gone really well for us and do business better moving forward. and thinking about what we're going to do to mitigate future potential spikes in COVID cases, where we're going to have potential local lockdowns or potentially national lockdowns, individuals going in and out of isolation, out of our workforces. What's going to be our strategy for managing those and maintaining business continuity? And supporting home working for in the longer term. I've heard a lot of talk about, oh great, let's get everybody home working, we can close this office, we can do that. That's great. Just stop for a couple of minutes and think. You need your thorough workstation assessments in place, because people can't work at a kitchen table 5 days a week. It's just not viable. And also, what are we going to do about the well-being and the need of those teams to get together and to have some social interaction? How are we going to structure calendars to make that possible and create spaces for them to meet in, to get that much needed team working and interaction? So those of you who already work with us at DMA will know that we talk a lot about fully integrating health, safety and environment into our business processes. And now more than ever, that's going to be really important as we redesign our business processes to match the new shape of our businesses. And we can design them to drive down the emissions, to design inherently ways of working and safe decision making in response to the changing health situation as we move forward. So it's a fantastic opportunity to craft your culture. All of your people have a different experience of this, whether they've been furloughed, whether they've gone to home working, whether they've had all kinds of other stressors in their lives, from bereavements to homeschooling to domestic abuse to we've got people with incredibly positive experiences and people who have had incredibly traumatic times. So now's our time to bring those people back together again and think about how we're going to drive that culture that is our business blueprint, so that all our people are brought back into that way of working. And that's about designing well-being into your business as usual, maintaining your productivity, whilst creating a place where people want to live and people want to work and work well. And then, to coin a government phrase, it's about building back better, looking at how our business and individual resilience can be improved and planning to take everyone with you. I know the cluster talks about no one left behind, and in health and safety terms, we're very much in line with that, because our people are important in our businesses, and how they react under a situation in work will be massively impacted by where they are and how engaged they are, and what other stuff they've got going on in the back of their heads. So it's important for you commercially, it's important for you morally, and it's important for you from a safety perspective to make sure that people are making good decisions and leading well. So then also there's encouraging employees to spend the sticky pound. We've got communities, we're in communities here where our retail and our amenities have been massively impacted. The decisions that all of our employees make, particularly those employees who have been on full pay through all of this, their choices of where they spend their money will impact the facilities and amenities we have in this area and throughout Cumbria in the coming months and years. And helping and encouraging and promoting that within our businesses will be part of being this great place to live and work that we talk about, that's so important for drawing people to the area. And I know that sounds like a lot of things to think about, but I also wanted to say that there's some great help out there from cluster members to do it. We're doing some of this work, but there's some great people who are doing leadership work, resilience work, some fantastic cluster members. Some of them have already run workshops for you, and I've been talking to Hazel about how we can get some more workshops to you. But I wanted to leave you with a thought. We've seen some extraordinary examples of leadership in the past few months, from people refusing to wear face masks in a critical hospital facility where they were part of the mandatory arrangements. I don't think I have time to list our top right and some of the leadership examples we've seen from there. But we've seen some inspiring leadership from New Zealand and some interesting stuff coming out of Boris too. So how do you want your leadership to be remembered through this time and as you move forward? And so with this in mind, if you'd like some support from us, then my contact details are there. But as I started to say before, Hazel has kindly said that she will collate any people who are looking for support in this general area, and see if we can't come up with some kind of workshop that would help people and meet the needs that people have at this time, whether that's an individual company we approach to do it or put together a collaboration. So please do contact Hazel or myself if we can be of help in any way. And then lastly, while we're talking about what else is going on in the cluster, this Friday there is a workshop on ISOs to help people who are thinking about perhaps moving into new markets at this time, to go through some of the ISO standards that are out there that might be able to help your business in meeting client requirements for the area that you're moving into. So there's still some spaces left on that workshop, and it's on Friday at 2 o'clock. It's a collaboration of cluster members, and I think we're looking at, and forgive me if I haven't got all of these, we're looking at 9001. So we're looking at quality, environment, health and safety, social impact, and the IT one. So if that's something that will be useful to you, then do please register for that. And I don't know, I've lost track of time, but I hope that's been helpful. And if you have time for any questions, then I'm happy to answer anything.
Thank you, Elsa. Really appreciate your time and presentation there. Yeah, I think the key thing is to remember that although some form of normality is starting to return, we don't necessarily want to go back to the normal that we've come from. And for a lot of people, normality is still far from what we were used to once upon a time. So thank you for that. There isn't really time to go into Q&A because we want to make sure that we have the networking opportunity for everybody to take part in. So Diane, I'm going to come across to you, and you are going to need to get your stopwatch at the ready because we're going into our 3x3 sessions.
I am, of course, ready, Andrew, now.
Well, I thought you would be. So first up, we are going to come to Quentin Boys. And he is going to tell us about the Community Data Cooperative.
Can you hear me, everyone?
We can. I hope you've been forewarned, Quentin, about me and my egg time. I'm quite famous for it.
Don't worry, I'm going to whiz through. Shall I kick off?
Are you all ready?
I'm ready to go. Can you see my screen?
3, 2, 1, go.
Hello, I'm here to basically pick up where Elsa left off and say if you want to find out more about how your staff are feeling about things, please come and join Cumbria 360. It's a new initiative being launched by the Community Data Cooperative. It's all about engaging with staff in a safe, secure environment rather than an employer-employee environment. People like Margaret Wheatley here as a guru in America think what we're trying to do in terms of engaging communities is great. Even better, the boffins in the UK think that what we're trying to do is also great. The Independent Sage report says that now is the time that we need to hear from people at community level. We are a co-op, which means that we can guarantee that people that come and talk to us in our environment are safe and in a trusted place. Their data is safe because fundamentally members of the co-op own the data, and to come and play, they have to be a member. We think that we can be a disruptor in the research sector because what we're trying to do is get some really frank, honest insights from communities in this environment where in other environments you may not be able to do that. So we're talking about using usual methods, but getting unusual honesty, and therefore providing businesses, public sector, private sector, anybody that wants insight about anything with some unique insights. We've only been going since May. We're about trying to recruit members at the moment. Without members, we can't provide insight. We had a bit of fun back early when we picked up on Keswick's close signs. So we ran some polls around that, and we got 75% of the community said they loved it. 25% that weren't very chatty on social media, and then the council immediately took the signs down. Don't know what to read into that, but it was quite interesting. Our first member survey that we've done, we've now got about 65 members. We asked them who do they trust about COVID, and basically some answers came back. They don't trust anybody. The NHS was the only one that scored positively, and interestingly, social media scored the worst, which I thought was quite an interesting insight into who people really trust. What's Cumbria 360? This is about saying, okay, employees are being asked all sorts of questions by their employers. They're very workplace focused. How about what's going on in their brains around their working life in the context of home and leisure and community? And we may be able to add some value to that by giving some insights in those areas. We're looking at questions around mental health, happiness, depression, reaction to work changes, transport, which is obviously key in Cumbria, productivity, which I've heard mentioned a couple of times today. We're also asking for ideas about what can be done in a positive sense, what can be done to help communities, how can business help communities. So lots and lots of interesting stuff in there to get some insight around. What do I need today? I need people to know about this project. I need anybody that's got a business or employees or as an individual to come along and get involved. It's free. We will do all the analysis. We will share the insight. We'll share it from the top up, so county council, all the way down to an SME employing 2 people. I don't care who it is. If they want to know more about what people are thinking, we will provide it. And that's it. And I just flicked some insights that we're starting.
And that's your 3 minutes, Quentin.
I'm done. Thank you. And goodbye.
Perfect.
Fantastic. Yeah, that was great. So thank you, Quentin. Deborah Naylor, you are up next. So let me share those slides for you. Just give me 2 seconds.
It was interesting, Quentin, because obviously I saw your presentation at the Social Value Group yesterday. That was from a slightly different angle, and very interesting the difference in the presentation. So I've learned even more today. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you.
No problem. I'm juggling balls, multiple balls.
Just make sure you don't drop the glass ones. Yeah. That's what I always say. There we go, Deborah. Are you all set up? Are you ready for the countdown? 3, 2, 1, go.
My name's Deborah Naylor. I'm the Area Manager for Inspira in West Cumbria. So what is the Business Schools Collaboration Project? Well, Inspira has been commissioned by the British Energy Coast Business Cluster to facilitate employer engagement in 15 schools throughout West Cumbria, and that includes the Pupil Referral Unit and Mayfield Special School. So why is employer engagement important? Well, extensive research by the Gatsby Foundation shows that where secondary school pupils have meaningful encounters with employers, they make better career choices and are more likely to make a successful transition from school into the world of work. They're also less likely to become unemployed. And through this contract, there has been activity in every single school throughout West Cumbria. Research has shown that schools with advantaged catchments are more likely to take part in employment engagement activity, reinforcing existing advantages that those pupils already have. But this contract has levelled the playing field and given the same opportunities to all. This project is hugely successful and has made impact on the lives of young people in our community, and these statistics speak for themselves. Typical activities we offer with support from representatives from this cluster include guest speakers in assemblies, mock interview days, speed networking, where we have a hall full of employers. Each student has 5 minutes to find out as much as they can about different areas of work and extend their network. We organise team building activities and bespoke events. The impact of COVID. There are lots of statistics about the effects of recession on young people, and it's understood they're more disproportionately affected. There's talk of a lost generation, that the advantage between advantaged and disadvantaged is growing. As a governor in a secondary school, we hear that some pupils are coping well, and pupils who were struggling before lockdown are finding it even harder to cope. Some have given up. In our community, there is evidence of a digital divide where some families have no internet access at all, and other families are sharing one computer between 5 family members. Schools are desperate for face-to-face employer work that reaches everyone. Whilst online content is good, it's much easier to build up a rapport with someone and be motivated by them if you meet them in person. And with your support, we can offer schools a blended service, a winning combination of virtual and live content. So how can you help? Well, this project relies on crowdfunding. If you're not already a sponsor, please consider becoming one. No donation is too small. Contact Diane Richardson for more information. We can continue to give young people hope for the future if we all sign up to, believe in, and take action to ensure and fulfil the cluster's new strapline: no one is left behind. Thank you for listening.
Wow, Deborah, I wasn't sure you would fit that into 3 minutes, and you actually managed it in 2:55.
Oh, well.
All the important points over as well, I think.
Thank you.
And thank you for your sponsorship, Elsa. Every sponsorship, every piece of money that goes into this benefits youngsters in our area.
Great, thank you. That's two rapid fire 3x3 presentations with lots of really great details shared. So without further ado, we're going to go into the networking session. So I'm going to put you into the breakout rooms. We are just going to run over slightly because the biggest piece of feedback that we get is that we cut the networking too short. So we are going to hold the networking at 15 minutes. So that will take us just slightly over beyond the 1:30. But please do come back and we will just finish off very quickly with a feedback slide and any other business, and Peter will close out the session for us. Thank you for that, for sticking with us and joining that networking session. I hope you found it useful. I hope the timing was about right. I'm sorry that we have run over a little bit. Does anybody have any other business? If you wish to unmute your mic very quickly, then please feel free to share anything very quickly. Loved the networking event, worth running over. Okay, well, that's positive. I felt less rushed. Excellent, good. Okay, so I can't see any other business, so I think that's all. I'll hand back to you, Peter. Oh, sorry, before I do, actually, I've left the mentee slide up on screen. So please leave your feedback on today's session. The code there, 431321. Just go to mentee.com, very easy to do on your mobile. It's anonymous, and your feedback would be very much appreciated. So I'll leave that up for a second while I hand over to Peter.
Thanks, Andrew. So thanks to everybody for joining today. I know everybody's sort of busy and got a lot on, but it's certainly been insightful. I believe all the sort of presentations, from Capula about the digital transformation, what Elsa was sharing about a reflective piece and maybe understanding what you really want and how you're going to achieve that. And obviously the power of obtaining data, as Quinton shared, and Inspira, the fantastic stuff they're doing with engaging the next generation. So thanks everybody for joining today. Don't forget, on the website, there's other events. We plan on having 2 monthly e-meetings every fortnight on a Wednesday. And there's also workshops and sector meetings. So watch out for Hazel's email and keep an eye on the website. But apart from that, wish you all the best and do take care. And if you're planning on any holidays over the summer, enjoy, and we'll certainly see you soon. Thank you.